Well, hello. How are we doing this wonderful morning? Um, we are going to be doing our little review. I'm going to hit like a little bit of everything as we're trying to get ourselves ready for our chapter 7 and 9 exam. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get rid of the ugly mug. Yo. All righty. So let's go ahead and start with these. Yeah, one of each: multiply, divide, and power property. So our exponent rules from the beginning. Go ahead and pause video and try to get these three problems done. All right. Number one, we're dealing with multiplication. With multiplication, okay, now the regular numbers are regular numbers. So like the 3 and the 2, that's just multiplication. Don't change it. 3 times 2 is still 6. Okay. But with our variables, our u's, I have u to the fourth and u to the fourth. Okay, since those u's are being multiplied, the rule is that I'm allowed to add the exponents. So those exponents, 4 plus 4 is 8. Okay, the v's, I have v to the negative third, and I have v to the first. And same thing, those are multiplied, so I would add those exponents. Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. And then remember, if we have a negative exponent, we do need to fix it. Okay, that means that this needs to go to the bottom. Now I'd have 6 u to the 8th over v squared. Okay, number 2. Now this is a division problem. There are some similarities here. Okay, the regular numbers, the 3 and the 2, those are regular numbers. That's a fraction. So 3 over 2 cannot be simplified. So I still have 3 over 2. The a's are being divided. Okay, they're being divided. So the rule is if I'm dividing same variables, I'm allowed to subtract the exponents. That's going to be 2 minus negative 2. Okay, minus a negative turns that into plus, and I have a to the fourth. Make sure you put it on the top after you do your division property there. The b's are divided. B squared divided by b to the third. So again, since they're being divided, I would subtract my exponents. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. Once again, we do have a negative exponent there. That just means that the b to the first is supposed to be on the bottom. So I have 3a to the fourth. Clean that 4 up. Sort of looks like a 9. 3a to the fourth. 3a to the fourth over 2b. Now, if you put 2b to the first, that's okay. It still means the same thing. The last one is the power property here, the power property. So with the power property, what that tells us is when we have all these things in parentheses and it's raised to an exponent. Now it has to be a monomial. So if there's any plus signs inside of that parenthesis, this rule no longer applies. If there's any minus signs inside of the parentheses, this rule no longer applies. Okay, so what it says I'm allowed to do is I'm allowed to multiply each exponent. So 3 to the first, x squared, y to the third. I'm allowed to multiply each exponent by this 3. So for the 3, 1 times 3 is 3. For the x, 2 times 3 is 6. And for the y, 3 times 3 is 9. That's the power property. And then I would need to go ahead and take care of 3 to the third power. 3 to the third power, remember, is 3 times 3 times 3. That would be 27. So my answer would be 27, x to the 6, y to the 9th. All right, let's go on to the next section. Okay, simplifying expressions. So I'd like you to pause the video, and I would like you to complete these 3 problems. All right. Number 4. Now, one thing that's important that we see is that it does have this plus sign in between the two. Okay, so I am adding those two trinomials together. I just need to pay attention to what's in front. So what's in front here? It's a 1, so that's good. That's a positive 1, so that's good. So I'm allowed to just start collecting like terms. I like to start with my biggest exponent, so m to the 4th. So 7m to the 4th. Oh, look at that. Goes with 7m to the 4th. My next biggest exponent is the m to the 1st. So I have 1m plus negative 4m. And then I have my constants, 4 plus 6. Now, one thing to remember is when I'm adding up like terms, I do not mess with the exponents. So 7 plus 7, that is 14. One m plus negative 4m, that's negative 3m. And then 4 plus 6 is positive 10. You do want to put it in order, biggest exponent, the smallest exponent. Okay. Now, number 5, it does have that minus sign in the middle, so I'm not, making the big box like we have, like you see us do the 2 by 2, 2 by 3. But I do have multiplication because I have a 2m in front of this parentheses, and I have a negative 4m in front of the second one. So really, I have two problems to take care of here. I have this one, and I have this one. Okay, so let's go ahead and take care of those multiplication problems first. We are going to add up like terms, but we need to know what all of them are first. So I'm going to make a 1 by 3 box here. Two m goes off to the side. And then I have my trinomial, 4m to the 3rd minus 5m and 5m to the 4th. I'm going to put this one down here. So I'd have the negative 4m off to the side. And then I'd have my m to the 4th, 2m to the 3rd, and negative 2m. Now, one thing we have to remember is that we are going to be multiplying, and when we multiply m's together, we have to add exponents. Okay, so for this top one, that is 2m to the 1st times 4m to the 3rd, that'd be 8m to the 4th. 2m times negative 5m, 2 times negative 5 is negative 10, m times m is m squared. And 2m times 5m to the 4th, 2 times 5 is 10, m times m to the 4th is now m to the 5th, because we have to add the exponents when we multiply m's. On the bottom, negative 4m times m to the 4th, that is negative 4m to the 5th. Negative 4m times 2m to the 3rd, that'd be negative 8m to the 4th. And negative 4m times negative 2m is 8m squared. Now, all these pieces that are inside of my boxes, I now need to add up those like terms. So start with the biggest ones first, the m to the 5ths. We have 10m to the 5th plus negative 4m to the 5th. That would be 6m to the 5th. Remember, when we're adding, we don't mess with exponents. Okay, so the m to the 5ths are done. M to the 4th, 8m to the 4th plus negative 8m to the 4th. 8 plus negative 8 is 0, so that's gone. And then negative 10m squared plus 8m squared, that would be negative 2m squared. That would be my answer. For number 6, notice that there is nothing in between the parentheses. So that is multiplication. We have 2 things times 2 things. So make your 2 by 2 box. On the side, I'm going to put the 7x plus 4. And on the top, I'm going to put the 2x minus 5. Then we do our multiplications. 7x times 2x, that's 14x squared. Remember, x times x is x squared. 7x times negative 5 is negative 35x. Down to the bottom. 4 times 2x is 8x. And 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. Add up my like terms. I would have 14x squared with my x's here. 8 plus negative 35 is negative 27x, and then minus 20. And that is simplifying. All right, our next section is factoring. You would pause the video and complete these 3 problems. All right, this first one is just factoring out a common factor. So we're going to start off. What can I divide out of all 3? And I'm looking at the numbers 4, 10, and 2. Smallest number is 2, so we can try 2. And yes, they're all even numbers, so 2 works. So let's divide it out. That becomes 2n to the 5th minus 5n to the 3rd plus 1n squared. What else can I divide out? I have a 1 there, so 1, it's done. Okay. From here, I'm going to look at the variables, and they all have n's. So I want the smallest exponent, and I'm going to divide that out, n squared. Now, when I get my result from that, when I divide that out, that's going to go inside parentheses. So n to the 5th divided by n squared. Remember, when I'm dividing n's, I subtract exponents. So 5 minus 2, that'd be 2n to the 3rd minus 5n to the 3rd divided by 1n squared. So it'd be minus 5n. So I just have 1 left. And n squared divided by n squared, there's no more n's. So plus 1. On the outside then, I would take those 2 and multiply them together. Okay. Now, sometimes I've seen us try things with like magic numbers, etc. From that point, guys, this ain't a quadratic, so I would not be doing that. Okay. Now, number 8, factor completely. These are the ones where we're doing the airplane method. Okay, it's a quadratic. So first I check, what can I divide out? 3 is the smallest number. I can't divide by 3, so 1, it's done. Magic numbers. Multiplies to be 30, adds up to be negative 11. Remember, for the top number, you take the A and the C and multiply them together. The bottom number is your B value. Okay? Now, for my magic numbers then, magic numbers here are negative 5 and negative 6. Okay, negative 5 times negative 6 is positive 30. Negative 5 plus negative 6 is negative 11. So let's build our plane. Put our wings out. We're going to start with the 10A on both of these. And then our magic numbers become the second number. So minus 5, minus 6. Plane's in the air, needs to land. So put your wheels down. The first one I can divide by 5. The second one I can divide by 2. I check my tires. 5 times 2 is 10. That should happen. If it does not happen, you're for sure wrong. And now I just need to divide that out. So when I divide that by 5, I get 2a minus 1. When I divide both of these by 2, I get 5a minus 3. And that would be factored complete. Last one example of difference of squares. Okay, so it is a quadratic. There's 2 of these, and there's minus in the middle. Okay, you do also check still what could I divide out, but this is one it's done. Remember, we're just using square roots. So I put my 2 parentheses for the shortcut, add 1, subtract the other. So square root of 144x squared is 12x. So both these start with 12x. And square root of 121 is 11. So they both end in 11. That would be my factored form. Okay. One thing I do want you to recognize with these, they do not have equal signs. So that's why we are factoring, not solving. Okay. You can't use a quadratic formula. Okay. All right. Now, these last two do have equal signs. Okay. So we are solving these two. I just realized I was really, really mean on number 10. I did not intend to give you magic numbers that were that huge. So give me a second here and let me adjust that particular problem to something a little bit more reasonable. There. All right. So let's adjust this to something a little bit more reasonable. So let's do this one here. Okay. So we got 5n squared minus 28n minus 12 equals 0. I apologize for that, guys. I mean, obviously, you didn't see it until just then, but I did not intend to have that large of a number there. So let's go ahead and solve this. Now, the first thing I need to recognize is it does have an equal sign, and we want it to say equals 0. This says equals 0 for us. If not, like we've done before, you need to move things around. So now I check. What can I divide out? 5's the smallest number, and nothing's divisible by 5. That's 1. It's done. Magic numbers. Multiplies to be negative 60, adds up to be negative 28. Okay? And I want to remind you, when you're stuck, start with 1 in the number. So I'm starting with 1 times negative 60. Oh, and I add that. It does not equal negative 28, so that's not it. Next number is 2. Negative 60 divided by 2 is negative 30. So that multiplies to be negative 60, and 2 plus negative 30, bada bing, bada boom, there it is. I have my two numbers. Now, we can use the shortcut. And remember, the shortcut is opposite. So it'd be negative 2 divided by the a value. The a value is 5. So there's one of my answers. The other one, opposite divided by my a value. That would be 6. So the two answers for that one are negative 2/5 and 6. Okay, last but not least, the quadratic formula. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write the quadratic formula. There we go. And let's go ahead and take a look here. First things first, it's got to say equals 0, and this one does. A is 7, B is negative 2, and C is negative 14. And always make sure you have them in the right order. So let's go ahead and plug them into our quadratic formula. So I have negative of B plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C. That's all over 2A. So negative 2 squared. Let's go ahead and do the square root part first. Negative 2 squared, that would be positive 4. Remember, when you square this number, it is going to be positive. Then we have negative 4 times 7 times negative 14. And that's going to be positive 392. Add these numbers together, and I get positive 396. So I need to square root that because it's a positive. and I'm gonna have to approximate this. I get 19.90 approximated. Remember, we want to round to the hundredth, because so I had this 19.899. Okay, so 5 or more raises the score from 89 to 90. Now let's break this up into its two parts. So negative of -2, that's +2, plus something divided by 14, and +2 minus something divided by 14. Now, what is that something that comes after here? That is my 19.90. 19.90. Again, when we do this part, we want to make sure that we round to the hundredth. So let's add those up. 2 plus 19.90 is 21.90 divided by 14. Then I'm going to have to round this. This is going to be about 1.56. And 2 minus 19.90 is negative 17.90 divided by 14. I get negative 1 point rounding to 8. Okay, so my answer for that one, I would have 1.56 and negative 1.28. Okay. All right, those are all the problems that are going to be in the chapter 7 to 9 exam. Okay, there's going to be a few others, like more than just one of those specific types sometimes, but those are the problems that are going to be on the test. Okay, make sure that you are finishing that review sheet if you have not done so already, and extremely important, make sure you are getting done with your catch-up work. That's any quizzes or tests that you have not taken care of so far in the class. You've got to get those taken care of. If you have any questions, email me, and we will see you later. Adios. Hasta luego. Arrivederci. Ciao.